The gap between the very richest and the rest of us is getting bigger. Why? A common belief is that it's good for us all if a small group of people earn an enormous amount of money. The theory is that their wealth trickles down to the rest of us. But this is a myth. In reality, money is sucked up from all of us into the pockets of a very small group of people. How does this happen? One reason is
It's probably because money is fake.
the way that money is created.
Printed out of thin air.
Right now, almost all of the money in our economy is created by banks when they make loans. Now, most people assume that when banks make loans, they're lending out someone else's savings. But they're not.
They're printing it out of thin air. That's how they make their money.
Instead, when somebody takes
They deposit the money, right? They deposit, let's say you deposit $100 in the bank, they can print $1,000.
out a loan, banks create new money electronically by typing numbers into their account. 97%
And you work your entire life when these motherfuckers, oh, you want 10 grand? Here you go, bitch. Sell me your life.
of
You're a
all the
peasant.
money in our economy is created in
97% of your money is created as loans. It's fake. Fake!
this way. As people take out loans from banks, the more loans people take, the more debt there is, and the more money there is. The shocking fact is, if nobody went into debt, there would be almost no money in the economy. Our economy depends on the electronic money created by banks. But because the money is created when people borrow, someone, somewhere, has to pay interest on every pound created.
We do. They create the fake money, then they loan it out back to us, and it was created out of thin air. The scam is incredible. Like, trust me, this scam is genius. Because instead of having slaves that you whip, you used to have slaves that you dangle this fake printed money in front of. You don't teach them about money, obviously, because if they knew about it, they would tell you to fuck off. And now you have a working economy. You have a bunch of little peasants.
In effect, we are renting the money we need to run our economy from the banks. This means that in the UK alone, together we pay the banks £192 million in interest every single day.
192 million pounds in interest is being paid. So they create fake money, and then the loans, right? Our hard work is compensated to these motherfuckers that print money out of thin air. Do you not see this? These motherfuckers created something out of thin air, and you're working at a McDonald's, slaving away your life.
And because the debt is held mostly by the bottom 90% and wealth mostly by the top 10%, paying this interest transfers money from the bottom 90% of the population to the very top 10%. It sucks wealth and income from the rest of us up to the very lucky few. So as long
Because the real money, that 3% of money that is real, right? The real money gets sent back up.
as long as we have to rent the money we use from the banks that create it, we'll have to keep paying this huge interest bill, and the gap between the richest and the rest of us will keep increasing.
I'm going to explain to you guys what happened over the last 2 years. They created a fake to have a reason, okay, to flood the entire system with fake money. They had already bought their positions in the marketplace, but they needed to exit those positions, right? Because they need to reset the system. So what do? They give all the fucking normies their $1,800 stimulus checks. And what do they say? Well, you know what? We need to take care of you. You know, we need to pump some more money into the economy. So we print tens of trillions of dollars. We get into massive debt with the IMF. We get into the massive debt with the Federal Reserve. And then what happens? All the rich dudes, that money gets pumped into the market. All of their shares, the value of their shares goes up. They fucking sell, right? They fucking sell the very top, because of course they sell the top. That's that, and guess what happens? It goes from taxpayer money and lent money to cashed out and funneled to private industry and into the pocket of rich people. That's why rich people get richer and poor people get poorer. That's how the system works.
But how is it that
W in the
we've
chat
ended
if you're
up with a
learning.
system?
1971, we took the dollar off of the gold standard. That's what happened.
Since 1971, when President Nixon took the United States off what was left of the gold standard, the world has operated under a system of money known as fiat. The dollar, the pound, the euro are all government fiat currencies. Fiat is a Latin word meaning let it be so. It is the law that this government currency be money. Indeed, without that legal enforcement and the fact that we must pay taxes with this money, that dollar bill or that computer digit that represents a dollar would be pretty much meaningless. Only the government has the power to issue fiat money, but banks can create it through lending. Over the last 40 years, since this system of fiat money became the global norm, the supply of money has grown exponentially. In fact, we've seen the greatest growth in the supply of money in history. But who benefits?
The banks benefit, the rich people benefit.
Of course, those that have the power to issue money, governments and banks. Then, those companies and individuals that get this money early. They can spend it before the prices of the things they want to buy have risen to reflect the new money in circulation.
I just explained this concept to you guys, it's crazy.
In other words, they get services, products or assets cheap.
And then they
But
sell it high.
prices soon rise. So holders of assets, such as houses or shares, will then see gains without there necessarily being any improvements to the company or house in question. Often this can
Inflation.
lead to speculative bubbles. But what about those at the bottom?
And they're not speculative bubbles. You know what they are? They are fabricated bubbles because that's how fiat fucking money works.
The pyramid. Those on fixed wages or incomes, those who live in remote areas, or those with savings. By the time this newly created money has filtered down to them, the
It's
prices of the
worthless.
things they want to buy have increased. Their savings buy them less, however, and their wages remain largely unchanged. In some cases, they have to take on debt just to be able to afford the things they were previously able to buy. Which means they have to go back to the banks.
And get what?
In reality, this
More
process
loans.
of creating money only redistributes wealth from the bottom to the top of the pyramid. And thus that ever-increasing gulf
Because they print the fake money and then the interest, right, which is real, gets sent back to the bank, right? The hard-earned money, the interest, and that gets fucking pocketed. I'm teaching you guys how this entire thing works. You're not gonna learn this in school. You're not gonna learn this in the system. They want to keep you blinded. Rich people don't fake.
between rich and poor
It's ridiculous.
gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
For every dollar of GDP, for example, in the U.S., it also
They print 9 or 10 of them.
creates something like $5.50 worth of debt.
Of the money in the world today, 97% of it is debt.
W in the chat, baby.
The French philosopher Voltaire once said, "All paper money eventually returns to its intrinsic value,
Nothing.
0."